Hey folks, just a wee announcement before we dive into the content. We had some technical difficulties in this one, so we're just using the audio as it came in through our Zoom call. And there's one or two wee glitches, but it's totally listenable. And if you're into the content, I'm sure you'll manage to get through it. So apologies for the technical hitches. We'll make sure it doesn't happen again. So here we go, into the content. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Unbelievers. I'm Cams the Unbeliever, and joined as always by...
Barge the Unbeliever.
Excellent. How are you today, Barge?
Well, I'm recovering from what I think may be an instance of Foul's power kind of leaving the space of the book and kind of affecting real life. I mean, almost didn't make this podcast because of various complications, and I thought I'd sorted them out and then didn't. So, maybe there's some foul
play?
Something foul afoot. Yeah, foul play afoot, and stuff is leaking out from the book. But I don't know. We're here anyway, and a new podcast. Oh.
As long as you keep away from leprosy, you'll be good.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
Right.
Okay, for sure.
So, I edited the last episode today, The Great Challenge. And as I was getting to the end of it, I was thinking, I hope something happens in the next chapter, because that last one was all walking and talking with no action. And boy, oh boy, did something happen.
A number of things, huh? I mean, they kind of, they start off in a good mood, but things change.
Yeah, so today we're discussing chapter 17, End in Fire. And this is the longest chapter of the book, but it goes by pretty fast.
Lots of action, that's for sure.
Yeah, lots of action. But before that, we get a bit more walking and talking. So they're on the move, and they're heading through the land. So we've got the party, the Lords with Covenant, we've got Foam Follower, we've got the Blood Guard, and we've got the Firebrand and the Stone Guy.
And the two ancient lords as well.
The two ancient lords and the ancient High Lord.
Correct, right.
And the Warward. So Quan's Yeoman. So that's the party. And we're going through the land.
Yeah, so they received some kind of news that they're being followed by enemies, huh? And that's what makes them set off with a certain urgency.
Yes, the Bloodguard head off to go and explore and figure out what's going on, and it becomes a bit of a battle. Yeah,
so they set off, and then there's a party that's sent on ahead, or sent on to kind of bluff them, right?
Yeah, like decoys.
So lead a trail away from theirs and towards Mount Thunder.
Yeah.
And so then they're playing a bit of a bluffing game, because they're kind of anticipating what Drool, I guess, at this stage, they believe is behind all this. Although Moram sighs and says, in my dreams I see Foul laughing.
Yeah, I've underlined that, and it made me think of a Depeche Mode song.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
You're right. Which song?
I think that God's got a sick sense of humour, and when I die, I expect to find him laughing.
Right.
Was that Personal Jesus, is it? So that came into my mind at that part. So they're wondering what Foul's doing at the moment, and that's when that comes up. Because they know that Drool has basically been tracking them, hasn't he, with the Staff of Law, and that was the cause of Covenant's pain that he was getting through the land.
Through the boots, right?
Through his boots, yeah. But now he's wearing sandals and robes like he's a proper inhabitant of the land, so I guess Drool will have lost that tracking system. But he must have a rough idea where they are, because he sends out some wolves, it says.
Right. So the decoy party then is basically there to lead them off in a different direction.
Yeah.
But then they are kind of missing, and everyone is concerned, and they're afraid that they've been killed in action, until finally they're in this kind of ravine or something like that, and they feel that they're in a vulnerable spot because they could be attacked. And then they come across the warriors, the ones who had gone ahead as the decoy, right?
That's right, yeah. So there's a blood guard and there's some of the warriors from the war haft. But one of them's missing, right?
Yeah.
So Coric, the blood guard, comes back down and greets them, and then tells them the tale of what went down. And it turns out that the wolves were special evil wolves called Kresh. So I believe that's the first time you've met the Kresh, is it?
I would think so.
Yeah, these are...
Well, I don't remember.
Not just ordinary wolves, these are special evil, foul wolves. And so they wouldn't enter Andalane, these Kresh. I guess that's out of bounds for them.
Right, yes, okay. That's what it says.
And there was also Urviles, Cave Whites, and a Griffin.
And a griffin.
Yeah.
A lion-like creature with sturdy wings that enabled it to fly for short distances is what I've underlined.
So I looked it up online, got some images, and they're big beasts with eagles' heads and lions' bodies.
Big claws as well, no?
Yeah.
The person who was missing from the party that went on decoy, was that not Thomas Covenant's bodyguard?
No.
No, I'm misremembering. Okay, forget it.
His bodyguard is Banner.
Yeah, right.
One of the blood guard. But the guy that was killed was not one of the Haruchai. He was one of the war guys called Iran, and he managed to purchase their escape by taking on the Griffin and beheading it. But we get mention here of a hawk that they shot down as it was flying overhead, and when they retrieve its body, it looks like a deformed hawk with a vicious beak and only one eye, a large mad orb centred in its forehead, which radiated with malice. So it's an evil animal that's been birthed apparently by the Illerth Stone, because the Staff of Law could not perform such a crime. So this is another of the Banes, the one that we didn't know yet that Drool had got his hands on, but we did suspect. So, I mean, does this confirm that that's the case now? Seems to.
Beyond me, I'm afraid, to comment on that.
Well, we heard earlier that the Staff of Law, because of its design, it can't be used to create anything that's outside the bounds of natural law. So if this hawk was created by or was deformed by a Bane of some sort, it couldn't have been the Staff of Law.
Right.
So that seems to confirm that there's another Bane in Drool's arsenal.
Drool's arsenal, or whoever it was that was behind this attack?
Yeah, it's not clear who would have his hands on the stone. Right, okay, it was alluded to in an earlier chapter when Lord Fowl, I think it was himself, in his message said, if Joel gets his hands on the Illith stone, then woe betide you, or something like that.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's right. And then you'll just have 7 years instead of 49 years. Correct.
So that's just an interesting data point, that we've now got another Bane on the go in the land. And it's being used to create basically live weapons.
Yeah, and to distort what is considered natural.
Yeah, I mean, I just imagine Drool as a big Wayne with toys, powerful toys that he's having fun with.
Right, doesn't really care about consequences and just wants to see what the effect of pushing this or that button is, huh?
Yeah. So, they get Corric's story. We learn that Erin has been killed, beheading a griffin, but saving the party.
And she's a she, by the way.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Oh, well pointed out.
It says that just below.
Missed that.
Erin cut in front of him. Somehow she had captured a long cave-rightish broadsword. The griffin snatched her up in its claws, and as it ripped her apart, she beheaded it.
Nice one, well spotted.
So then they've learned of all that, and then they feel that something is in the air. They're all feeling very uneasy. And then Covenant notices the colour orange in amongst the red of the moonlight. Covenant thought he saw an orange flicker in the crimson, but he could not be sure. Covertly he studied his ring and found the same occasional orange cast under the dominating blood. But he said nothing. He was too ashamed of Drew's hold on him. So they're kind of waiting for a storm, but there's something in the air, and, there's like an ill wind, and then someone smells burning and a tree, right? And what a moment.
Is the orange in his ring, do you think, referring to flames?
Well, it comes right before that, so it seems to be. Or some picking up on the burning of the tree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a major event, right? Because Soaring Woolhelven, that tree village that we visited a few chapters ago, up in flames. So what's happened? They all kind of drop everything and leave. Yeah. And what a sight.
What a sight indeed.
But I mean, who knows? But because the ring is also mentioned as having an orange cast, so who knows if that's some connection being picked up?
Yeah, it doesn't really get mentioned again, does it? The orange cast to the ring.
No.
But it's the only thing I can think that would be referring to is like a forewarning, a telegraphing of the fire to come.
Exactly. Something like that. Picking up on, on the fact that it was happening, because presumably it had been going on for a while before they got the smell of it.
Yeah. So they make haste for Soaring Woodhelven, and they get there quite quickly, and of course they see it's on fire. And everybody's dead. Bodies everywhere. Very few dead cave wights. It's mainly Woodhelven inhabitants.
And the lords are kind of naive, I thought. The lord seemed stupefied by the sight, stunned to realize that people under their care could be so murdered. Yeah,
well, they've had years and years of peace.
Yeah,
and
right.
These lords in particular I get the feeling they've never seen any action at all. And up until now, the only real evidence that they've had that the land is at peril is the Dead Wayne hymn, which they themselves didn't witness. That was just a report from Covenant. So this is the first time they've actually witnessed something as appalling as this. And I suppose it just hits them hard.
Right, but I mean, given all that they were discussing and talking about, and I mean, they are presumably severely underestimating.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
However, yeah, well, I mean, events unfold in a funny way, but yeah, there they are. And Foam Follower declares that it's not drool, but foul, because the attack was really planned and smart. He says, this is not drool's doing. No cave wight is the master of such strategy. Winds and clouds to disguise the signs of attack, should any help be near. Iron projection carried here from who knows what distance. An attack with so little waste of resource, because there were so few of them killed, and, yeah. So, Foam Follower reckons it was foul rather than drool.
Yeah, and I think that if you think back to when Covenant first visited Soaring Woodhelven and they talked about the Raver who had come to visit, and the Ravers are under Foul's instruction, not Drool's. So perhaps the Raver was on a scouting mission, just looking for vulnerable places that Foul could use. But then what's his end goal here?
Well, just for the sake of it, I mean, later on at some stage there's a bit where I think when Thomas Covenant is coming to the same conclusion that Foul is behind this, he's kind of groaning and thinking that Foul is just doing it for the sake of just spreading even more despair. Like, he doesn't have to, but it's something with the children, right? Because TC's getting really worked up about the kids being killed.
Yeah.
So
it's just a display of power.
And yeah, maybe then Foul is just playing with them. I mean, I don't know. There is such a thing as pleasure in the suffering of others.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there. Maybe humans justify it by thinking that the others deserve it in some way. But I mean, yeah. And I mean, Lord Foul himself, well, he boasts about it. He boasts about how, people should fear him in the end and things. So why wouldn't he?
But if his goal is to get his hands on the white gold, this move doesn't speed that up at all. And then as we discover, we'll get to that after. Yeah, let's move on. So they start to bury the dead, and they set a perimeter to keep them safe. So the Bloodguard go out, the Ranahan go out, and they form a perimeter around the party. And they find Laura from Soaring Woodhelven, a woman who was one of the council when Covenant went to visit, and a little boy, Pietin. And they bring her back to the party, and she's unable to speak properly. It's like she's been cursed. And so the Lords interrogate her, for want of a better word, to try and figure out what went down, and she's unable to tell them. So High Lord Prothal intuits that she's been cursed and starts to ask her yes/no questions, whereupon he learns about the curse that's been placed on her, and that's when they use the hurt loam to heal her to the point that she's able to tell her message, and her message is, run away, run away. This is a trap.
Yep. Basically, yeah, exactly. It's Thomas Covenant. Yeah, he recognizes her, huh?
Oh, is it? Yeah.
And the boy reminds him in some way of his own son, because there's
That's right.
the sight of the boy jabbed Covenant. The boy could have been the future of his own son, Roger,
Yeah.
the son of whom he had been dispossessed.
Yeah.
And then he says, "Children foul." He panted, "Children." I mean, even that's a bit naive. Like, come on. Like, why would foul give a shit about, children? Why?
Exactly.
Why?
Yeah. So at this point, Laura says run away, and then one of the blood guard comes running up, and basically it's too late. This has all been a trap. So this was my point. Why would Fowl set out to trap this party, the party which includes Covenant and the White Gold, if he knows that the White Gold is on its way to him? You would think he would try and speed that up rather than slow it down or jeopardise it.
Yeah. And, right, okay, that's a fair point. I mean, and to suggest that Fowl anticipated the outcome of a battle where the odds are 10-1 in favour of the one is a bit kind of right. There's a bit of a stretch.
But maybe if Covenant's killed, does it matter? Because the ring remains. Or does he need Covenant in order to use the ring? No, I wouldn't think so. It's just the ring he's after, isn't it?
So was Covenant just the medium by which the ring was brought from one, as it were, realm to another?
Yeah, he's just a delivery guy. Maybe.
But then there's the thing with Beric Halfhand.
Yeah. But that's where he's seen as the land's saviour by the land's inhabitants. I don't think it matters to Lord Fowl.
Right. No, but then there might be some connection with Beric Halfhand and Lord Fowl.
Beric Halfhand beat him, basically.
Right, so then, you want revenge. You want to kick his ass.
Yeah. Or maybe he wants to do it himself, but then he's just set up a trap where Covenant could quite easily have been killed.
Very easily, and how did that battle even turn? Like, how?
Yeah, well, it turned partly because of the White Gold.
Yeah, so Thomas Covenant himself actually joined in. He says, "I killed 5 of them."
Yeah. So at the beginning of the battle, everyone's concerned about Covenant and his safety, so they put him in a trench and cover him up to keep him safe. And he stays in the trench right up until he sees Tamarantha being attacked. And that kicks him into action, and he jumps out to go and save her and does a pretty poor job. He ends up with her staff. And when he attacks a cave white with the staff in his hand, it then creates some kind of reaction with the White Gold, and it flashes white and blue, and it kills the cave white.
Instantly.
Yeah. So he's triggering it, but he's not conscious of how he's doing it. It's just happening. And I guess he does it another 4 times, because if he kills 5...
Yeah.
With a staff and with the White Gold. But it seems that Tamarantha and Variol, 2 of the lords, it's Moram's parents, they go and lie down, don't they?
They're chill. They say whatever, we're just gonna chill together, hold hands, and let Armageddon come.
Yeah. So it's like they know what's coming. and they accept it.
Yeah, so until it turns, I mean, it really looks like the battle is lost. I mean, you get a griffin as well.
Yeah.
And foam follower, like, yeah. I mean...
Well, foam follower, he becomes like a berserker, it says.
Yeah.
So he gets in about them, but even he gets brought down at one point.
Exactly. They're all looking vulnerable. And even the kind of lightsaber fighting of the lords, you know, with the other guy who's channeling all the energy of all the whoever Cartwrights or the Cave Whites. Or
the Urviles.
The Urviles, so the head Urvile. And they're doing this kind of lightsaber kind of energy, Star Wars type fight, right?
So you've got the blue light from the staffs and you've got the red light from the scimitar that the Urviles have. I love the way that the Urviles channel that energy. It's such a great concept for fantasy. They form a wedge and all of the power gets concentrated into the leader at the front of the wedge. So he carries the might of the whole Urvile army in his scimitar. And there's a lovely bit of language here where it's talking about the cave whites. It says, they gasped like lunatics tortured into a love of killing. The nasal sensing of the Urviles sibilated wetly. It's like makes you squirm. Ugh. Sibilated wetly. What vocab?
Yeah, I just wondered what sibilate meant, but
yeah. But you kind of get the idea from the context.
And I bet it does mean something because he always seems to use words that are found in dictionaries.
Yes, he's quite known for that, actually. So yeah, the battle turns, doesn't it? It seems to happen quite quickly. I mean, this will be your first example of a fantasy battle scene in a book, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally. I mean, I was wondering, well, okay, that's like what's happening. Maybe TC gets away or something, but that's the end of them. But no, the attackers are sent packing instead.
Yeah, I think it's a well-written battle scene. Sometimes battle scenes can be hit or miss in fantasy, but this one I think is really well done. Quite violent, as they tend to be. And as is often the case, the odds are stacked against them, but somehow they turn it around and they vanquish the enemy.
Yeah, and the vulnerable points weren't fully exploited, I guess, because it says at one stage about Foam Follower, you know, if they were to concentrate their forces against him, they could take him down. But I guess they don't quite get to that point. Yeah. And the same with Prothol.
Yeah. But they're not without casualties. They lose one of the Blood Guard. And they lose Tamarantha and Variel. That's two pretty big losses. And the Blood Guard that gets killed is sent back home on the back of Aranahan, which I thought was a nice moment. Off back to the Western Mountains and Guard's Gap. So presumably that Blood Guard has been one of the Oath Pact, so he's been around for 2,000 plus years doing his duty. Isn't he killed trying to save Covenant?
Yeah, because Thomas Covenant then learns that they had died before, right? The two old lords who had died with smiles on their faces. And he says, do you mean to tell me that we fought, that I kind of like killed 5 people for a couple of corpses?
Yeah.
And that's like, you know, silence. Like he's I don't know, in the middle of unacceptable. And as who tells him? Kwan tells him to shut up or he'll break his arm.
That's right, yeah.
I mean, like, wow, that's...
I mean, it is a bit of an insensitive thing to come out with.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, totally. He himself is really pissed off at the moment. Or worked up post-battle, I guess, whatever.
Yeah. And there's another part earlier where they're talking about Laura, the one who was cursed, and the little boy. And it says that, why did he have to do that? Why did Phil do that? Because they would have got caught anyway. It's not like having her with a message that she's unable to deliver to delay the Lords. I mean, they would have been hanging about burying the bodies anyway. So
yes.
It was unnecessary.
He wants to milk us for all the despair we're worth.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And that's also the time when TC comes out and says he reckons that this is Fowl's doing. And he's speculating about Fowl planned the whole thing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you make a good point, like, why would Fowl? But if Fowl's thing is the white gold that he wants, I mean, it could be that he just wants from the white gold, right? And so maybe he's happy for the white gold to fall into Drool's hands.
Yeah, possibly.
I mean, if he's not going to suffer the consequences, and then Drool can mess up this world that defeated him, the Beric Halfhand world. I don't know. Sounds kind of...
Yeah, so if Drool got his hands on the white gold, first of all, we don't know he'd be able to use it, but assuming that he was able to use it, then he could use it to destroy the land, which is Fowl's goal. So he could achieve his goal without actually having to do anything himself.
And, I mean, the thing is that the wielder of the white gold magic doesn't even have to do anything except be in possession of the white gold, right? Sometimes it seems like that.
Well, it certainly seems like that where Covenant's concerned.
Yeah, so, I mean, maybe if it's similar with someone else, then the mischief could be wrought just automatically. Autopilot.
I remember Covenant offered it to Foam Follower and he rejected it and said even if he did take it, he wouldn't know how to use it. Right.
But yet he talked about being so tempted.
He did. Yeah, he did.
It's funny. Yeah, so they're mourning the dead then, huh? And when they gather themselves afterwards, Thomas Covenant gets offered a second staff, huh?
He does,
the one that he used. And he says, burn it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would have expected of him. He doesn't want it. So they burn it in the tree, and it explodes the tree. And then we get another nice, Covenant, first of all, he's given us the usual, don't touch me, he muttered to himself. And then we get this bit of language here. It says, the darkness lurked like vulture wings made of midnight. I quite like that image. Horrors threatened, he felt ghoul begotten. Oh, Donaldson. He could not bear the bloodiness of his ring, could not bear what he had become. He searched about him as if he were looking for a fight.
Yeah.
So then we get an image of Foam Follower who comes back from the battle. His forehead is split open through to the bone. He's covered in blood. And he's in a bad state. So this is where we get the first first image of the giantish Camorra, the fire of grief.
So he's returned wounded certainly after the battle, but then he went off to chase some of the Cartwrights or something, no?
The Cave Whites.
The Cave Whites, right. Yeah, I mean, he was really berserked.
Yeah.
I mean, the giant's normally so calm and gentle, but he was really on a killing spree, just like...
Well, it was good for the party that he was there.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
But he's affected. He doesn't enjoy killing, and he comes back, aggrieved at what he's done. This is the result. Stone and sea, we are diminished. Lost home and weak seed have made us less than we were. Do we remain faithful even now? Ah, faithful, my people, my people. Well, he's not in a good chip.
He did squeeze the griffin to death, though.
Did you?
I mean,
He gave it a giant hug.
But yeah. Oh, yeah, then he does that ritual. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, the fire of grief, the giantish Camorra. So he cleans his hands with the flame, and his hands come out clean, basically, unhurt from the fire.
And presumably the others have some idea of this, because they don't, it describes how his face is distorted with pain as his hands are in the fire. And Thomas Covenant is clearly thinking, like, what are you doing? And says, Giant, someone should laugh at you now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And at that he stops, actually.
Yeah, he doesn't laugh, though.
He doesn't laugh.
No.
He does not laugh.
So that's where we leave it, more or less, at the end. And someone asked Covenant if he feels, do you feel nothing? And he said, feel? I'm a leper.
Yeah, but see there again, what's he talking about? He's just been on a big kind of emotional drama thing at Foul for unnecessarily targeting kids.
Yeah.
So, you don't do that without feeling.
Yeah.
So, everyone's speculating. Yeah, everyone's confused AF. And, what's going on? Battles that looked lost have been won. So, yeah. And they're on their way to Drool, aren't they? They're going to confront Drool to see about getting the staff back.
Yeah.
And that's the mission. So, yeah.
So, at this point, Covenant says, I killed, I'm no different than they are. And the very last sentence of the chapter, I will not do any more killing. So, let's see if he manages to get through another 9 books.
Without killing. Yeah, right. Yeah. 9 and a bit books.
9 and a bit, aye. So we're heading into chapter 18 next time, which is entitled The Plains of Ra. Can you remember what they are? Who lives on the Plains of Ra?
Ranahan.
Yeah.
Is that right? It is?
It is the Ranahan from the Plains of Ra. And they're looked after by the Raman, or the Raman. I'm not sure how you pronounce that.
Okay. So we might meet some Raman.
Yes, and some more Ranahan possibly as well. Yeah.
Cool.
So, good to see you, Barge.
Yeah. Nice to catch up and, see what's happening in this and other worlds,
I hope that no more foul play spills over into your world before we meet again.
I think now that we've caught it out, he's been pushed back.
Good.
Pushed back into the portal through which he came.
Yes. Good. We don't want no stinking Lord Fowl. Right, folks, thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and we'll see you on the Plains of Ra. Bye for now.
Bye for now. Bye, folks.